It's WrestleMania 37 this Saturday and Sunday. Welcome to the predictions video here on SCW. Thank you so much for choosing the video. I'm going to get straight into it right after this. But without further ado, then let's go straight into night one. Then I'm going to do this in night one and night two format. Of course, you can always go on the chapters below as well to go to your favourite match if you can't wait to get to it. But I do recommend sticking around for the whole thing because we've got a lot of big matches to talk about here and it's going to be fun throughout. And of course, let's start things off big. What is seemingly rumoured to be the opening match of night one of WrestleMania. Of course, it's the main event in itself because they're going to be the first people in front of fans. I'm talking about the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley taking on Drew McIntyre. Now this one, let's be honest here, I think that the idea of this match was to always give Drew McIntyre his moment in front of fans, but if you look at it, both superstars have been built so well over the last 12 months or so. Drew McIntyre, of course, winning the WWE Championship in the PC at WrestleMania 36 to, well, an empty arena, carrying that championship through the pandemic era for the majority of it. And of course, Bobby Lashley, since losing to Drew McIntyre last year at Backlash, he has gone on to become a credible member of the Hurt Business, a long-term United States champion. Of course, then he went to become WWE champion. The only minor point has been the last couple of weeks as we've kind of, well, we've rushed splitting up the Hurt Business at a time that didn't really seem necessary. A time where Bobby Lashley had become such an animal that he didn't need help, but all of a sudden seems to want help to take Drew McIntyre out of WrestleMania. So some of this story doesn't make entire sense, but what I will say is when it comes to showtime, this is going to feel big, it's going to feel WrestleMania worthy. It is two of the strongest wrestlers that have been booked in the entire of WWE over the last 12 months. Bobby Lashley, since losing to Drew McIntyre last year at Backlash, has lost one fluke match to Riddle on Legends Night on Raw, and it was like a cheap, quick roll-up. And after that, Lashley just completely destroyed Riddle for weeks and weeks upon end. So, I mean, Lashley is looking stronger than ever. And to give a prediction for you, I'm going to go with want, and then I'm going to go with what I think. I want Bobby Lashley to actually retain the WWE Championship. It feels like his moment. We've waited so long as well for Lashley to be finally given the championship. We can have some big matches down the line, fresh matches going into the summer. Who knows, maybe Brock Lesnar could be brought back for that dream match because it feels it's the only way we're going to get it. But I've got to go with head over heart here. Like I said here at the start, Drew McIntyre, they want to give him his WrestleMania moment. No, it's not going to be in the actual main event, but goodness damn it, it's going to feel the closest thing to it because it's going to be the opening match. Like I say, the fans there, he's going to win the championship, and the big question mark is it going to be received well or is it not? Because, I mean, Drew McIntyre, there are opponents for him out of WrestleMania, Braun Strowman being one of them potentially. The Fiend could be another because we've not seen those programs go down in WWE. But it just feels like we've seen Drew McIntyre as the champion. I want something different, but I have to go with my honesty here. Drew McIntyre walks away as WWE champion. I feel the Hurt Business was broken up to take away some of that momentum with Bobby Lashley. They've aligned him in the last couple of weeks with King Corbin as well, just to make us feel like a bit more deflated with the ideas. So I think that's what WWE's intentions are. It's a shame, but hey, I'm going for Drew McIntyre to win the championship. He has been booked as a great babyface, as a top babyface. I just don't want things to turn nasty for him. I don't want him to get stale, and I don't want fans to turn on him because I'm a fan of McIntyre. I just feel right now it should be Lashley's time. Next, let's look at Cesaro against Seth Rollins. The King of Swing is back against the man. Has to make me embrace the vision by seeing those god-awful suits every single week. But hey, the SmackDown suit game is very strong over that side when you see half the roster the way they're dressed up these days. But taking it seriously into this feud here, I really like the way it's been put together. Of course, a lot of it has been focused on Seth Rollins being swung around 22 times, and Seth is making a bigger deal of it than perhaps necessarily made or needed needed to be, but at the same time, I do look at it and see that the real story here is the idea of wasted potential, that Cesaro should have already been more than what he is. And of course, he's signed a new contract with WWE. He has been on a roll in 2021. In fact, the only really notable loss that I can think of is the Elimination Chamber, where I had him as a favourite to win that match. But I guess it would have been perhaps too soon for Cesaro to get this first time ever one-on-one WrestleMania match, and yes, he's been in the company for like a decade. To finally get this moment is great to see. But I do think that Cesaro is going to pick up the victory. I think we're going to get 37 swings. I'm not sure if it's actually going to be possible, but I think they're going to do their best to try it, which I think would be quite fun. Maybe it could be fabricated like an attendance record from a previous year at WrestleMania, who knows. But certainly I think that if Cesaro doesn't win this, what's the point? It's time for him to pack up, go home, go somewhere else and be treated like a star, better in another company. But I really do believe this is going to be Cesaro's time. I don't know, this feels like the right time to do it. The trigger needs to be pulled and Cesaro can go on to become an Intercontinental Champion or even a Money in the Bank holder in the summer. We'll have to wait and see. But for me, if there's one match in Seth Rollins' career that he doesn't need to win, that it won't affect him in the slightest, it's this one. For actually Cesaro to lose and Seth Rollins to win would mean absolutely nothing to Seth. Everything here needs to be put on Cesaro. Cesaro needs the victory, and I'm predicting that he will get it. Next, let's look at the Raw Tag Team Championships. We've got the New Day taking on AJ Styles and Omos. Now, this has been a bit hit and miss, this sort of feud, but I do like what the story is entailed. The New Day, multi-time Tag Team Champions, and of course, yes, they beat Cedric and Shelton for the belts because, well, plans change. But at the same time, the New Day, they have that bond, that partnership. And AJ Styles and Omos, well, yes, I mean, Omos has been AJ's bodyguard, but are they a team? Will they gel together? We've never seen Omos in a WWE ring. This is going to be special and it's going to be something different, and it's going to be hopefully fun to see because there's been a lot of, a lot of hype for Omos of what he's going to bring to the table. We don't quite know what it's going to be like in ring. I imagine that at the moment that he's probably still quite green, and someone like AJ Styles can help him carry him through matches up until the point that he's ready to go on his own. So this in some ways feels like a good partnership because obviously WWE has plans and visions for Omos in the long term, and well, I mean, Omos could make some history here because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think someone's ever won a championship in their debut match at WrestleMania. Now, I do remember that Fandango won his first ever match at WrestleMania 29, beating Chris Jericho. I also remember Big E, or should we say Big E Langston at the time, actually debuting at WrestleMania 29 in a Tag Team Championship match. But of course, that was a losing effort when he was teaming with Dolph Ziggler against Team Hell No. So I think here, looking at things, we could get some history. I think AJ Styles and Omos, they will come together on the night. The power game of Omos is too strong. AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers in the world. This doesn't harm the New Day. It's something different going into the summer as well. Maybe the tag team division will be taken more seriously on Raw with AJ and Omos as the champions. I'm predicting new tag team champions, and I think it could be fun. Next, let's look at the steel cage match then between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Now, of course, this has been Nickelodeon's very own slime station with these two. I just wondered if Shane McMahon kind of wanted to make Braun Strowman turn into the Hulk. I'm not quite sure what the intention was really with the slime, but I mean, you could say that this has been based around stupidity. We've seen the Braun, but for me, it's been boring. I've not enjoyed it at all. I think it's been an awful build for these two. But what I will say is, I'm going to look into the story and I'm going to use it to make my prediction for WrestleMania. I like the idea that as a match, that it could work. I mean, Shane McMahon does crazy spots usually at WrestleMania. Braun Strowman, when he's on his game, he can be the monster. It's just better when he's not doing the choo-choo train. That's what I kind of feel. But looking at the match, I mean, I expect we'll get a crazy spot. And looking at the idea that Braun Strowman's picked the stipulation and he's meant to be stupid, it's kind of bullying. So, I mean, in one way, Braun Strowman could pick up the victory and prevail, over the bully. That would make a lot of sense, like they did at WrestleMania 34 with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. But I have a feeling that we're going to get something similar to 1999's St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I think Shane McMahon is going to outsmart Braun Strowman in this match, and that's either going to be used with help, because outside interference shouldn't be able to get into a steel cage match, but we have seen it about a million times in the past. But also, Shane McMahon could be like thrown into the structure and it could break. And that's what happened to Vince McMahon and Steve Austin in their cage match in St. Valentine's Day Massacre 99. The Big Show came from without under the ring, a big monster, threw Austin into the cage, and the cage broke. So I wouldn't be surprised if that went down for Shane McMahon to actually win. And well, let's not give up WWE ideas, but this feud actually carries on. The only other thing I can think of is that Shane's actually thrown off the top of the cage through the announce table. And I know that seems like a very insane spot, but hey, we've seen Shane do something like that before at WrestleMania with a Hell in a Cell, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And that would be a way that, I mean, Shane McMahon could win the match, but Braun Strowman could win the war. But to give a final prediction, I'm going Shane McMahon. Next, let's go with a tag team match of Bad Bunny. That's right, you heard right. Bad Bunny and Damien Priest taking on The Miz and John Morrison. Just before we start actually giving a prediction for this match, I want to give some praise out to Bad Bunny. He has to be, without a doubt, if not one of the best celebrity ever in WWE. He's taken this opportunity with both hands. He's gone 2 feet in. He loves this. You can tell he loves the business. He's given everything to this. He's been around for the whole time between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. And now we've got a big match involving him, which also could benefit an NXT call-up in Damien Priest. This is fantastic booking from WWE. And I have to say that with some things, I found WrestleMania quite lackluster on the build. I feel with this match, I feel it's been on the money. I feel it's been really good. It started at the Royal Rumble, Bad Bunny with his performance, of course, The Miz and John Morrison wanting some sort of collaboration, Bad Bunny not wanting to know. Then, of course, Damien Priest eliminated Miz and Morrison from the Rumble. Bad Bunny jumped off the top rope onto Miz and Morrison as well. It was a big deal at the time. They had a bit of back and forth for a little while. Bad Bunny was actually 24/7 champion, if we remember now. That seems a while ago. And then after, of course, Miz had his situation with the Money in the Bank and the WWE Championship, now he's come back into the program with Bad Bunny. And of course, we saw the guitar being used week on week. Of course, a big guitar spot on Bad Bunny's back. Then it repaid the favour the following week. And it looked for a while we were getting a one-on-one match between Bad Bunny and The Miz due to injuries for Priest and Morrison. But good news, both seem to be healthy. They seem good to go. And what I realised with this week on Raw, in fact, I won't just jump ahead to yet, the Hey Hey Hop Hop video should have been awful. I enjoyed it. I'm just going to throw it out there. Hey, I liked it. I thought it was good fun. I found it sports entertaining. But this week on Raw, usually on go home editions of wrestling, I like to see an angle enhanced, a reason to want revenge, a reason to need to see the match at a pay-per-view. I got that this week with these two. Now, it wasn't quite Steve Austin and Vince McMahon with the Corvette in 1998, but Miz and Morrison actually using paint to graffiti all over Bad Bunny's expensive vehicle, 3.6 million. Very, very expensive. And Bad Bunny was, of course, upset about it. He got attacked by Miz and Morrison backstage as well to really get some heat as well. I thought it was fantastic. And then the fact it was actually made into a tag team match, brilliant. I really enjoyed this. Bad Bunny actually, expressing himself in ring, how much this all meant to him and stuff. His promo was better than half of the roster. So for me, I really, really have got a lot of props for Bad Bunny and how this has been booked overall. I actually think it's been one of the best booked matches heading into WrestleMania. I do think we're going to get a WrestleMania moment here because let's make the prediction. It doesn't need to take long, this part. Bad Bunny and Damien Priest are winning this match all day long. The celebrity won't lose. And the best part about it is now, Bad Bunny hasn't got as much pressure on him in a one-on-one match. The tag team match has 3 WWE superstars in it. Damien Priest can do the bulk of the work. And of course, Damien Priest will get the rub of teaming with Bad Bunny, a Grammy celebrity, or Grammy-winning celebrity, someone that was on Saturday Night Live, a big global platinum star, and Damien Priest is tagging with him at WrestleMania. This is big time here right now. This is Damien Priest's biggest moment of his career, and this could really catapult him going forward into the summer. I really hope Damien Priest is in the Money in the Bank ladder match this year. I'd love to see it, but as a prediction, Bad Bunny and Damien Priest are winning this match all day long, and it's a match I'm looking forward to seeing. Next, let's go tag team Turmoil, shall we? And it's good to see a Turmoil match back in WWE. I know it's technically a gauntlet, but I mean, we've not seen one of these for a while now, so it's good to see it with the tag teams. And of course, the winner of this gets a championship opportunity for the Women's Tag Team Championships on night 2. And of course, we've got 4 teams we know for sure that are going to be in this. We've got Naomi and Lana, we've got Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, we've got the Riot Squad, and we've got Natalya and Tamina. The last team, Natalya and Tamina, have been on a roll as a team. They look dominant coming coming into this and would be heavy favourites in my opinion for this match. But I do have a feeling of the 4 teams listed that it's going to be a babyface team that goes on to night 2 to take on the heel team of Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. So my favourite of these 4 teams is Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. But the thing I'm going to say is Tag Team Turmoil. Well, why not have a 4-way with these 4 teams? There's going to be more teams in the mix, and we've already been teased one. Carmella and Billie Kay has been a teased tag team because Carmella had to read through the resume of Billie Kay, which I've loved, by the way. Billie Kay is a star in the making with just her character work alone. And of course, Billie Kay was on Raw intervening with all this week, so I have a feeling they could be an additional team added. I would love to see some of the roster that's not being used to make this even further, maybe 6 or 7 teams, but I'm not sure if we're going to see that. But one thing's for sure, if Carmella and Billie Kay are in this, I predict them to win it. And my other reasoning for that is because Reginald used to be with Carmella, is now with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. So to give a final prediction here, if it's those 4 teams, I'm going Rose and Brooke. If Billie Kay and Carmella come involved, I'm going Billie Kay and Carmella. Last but not least then, for night 1, let's talk about the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha Banks defending against Bianca Belair. And of course, I did mention Reginald in the last you heard me grating my voice there already in the last match there. Yes, he was a part of the build to this storyline. The road to WrestleMania for these two, let's be honest here, it's been messy. It hasn't been the best. It could have been booked better. I don't like the fact they were used as a tag team at one point, but I think WWE's done this because I think they wanted the slow burning heel turn for Sasha Banks, where I think it would have been more impactful if, yeah, it had been teased for a couple of weeks, but she just did it in the moment and actually just went for it and attacked Bianca Belair, and saying like, you're meant to be the rising star, well, I am the star and you're not getting to my level. It's technically been used in that way in places by calling Bianca Belair a rookie, but it's not really been executed in the way that it could have been. I think it could have been delivered a lot better. But come showtime, these two hopefully are going to be the main event of this night 1, and I think they will steal the show. It would be great to see another women's match main event of WrestleMania. I think that's going to be awesome. These two haven't had that opportunity in the past, and I do think they're going to put on an amazing match. The thing is that I'm going to predict Bianca Belair to win this because I think the fans should be sent home happy, but remember, this is night 1, so it would be interesting to see what they do, but I think fans will be unhappy if Bianca loses. She had such an incredible Royal Rumble victory. She has been booked as a strong babyface, and she could be the star of the women's division going forward if she wins this match at WrestleMania. The only problem I've got is I'm getting Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura vibes in 2018, and I don't know why. I feel because this story feels like it's just starting. I feel like there's more mileage in this story going after WrestleMania. I don't think this is one and done, and I think that's part of me makes me feel that just maybe Sasha Banks maybe will do something heel tactic wise and win. Hopefully not Reginald, but maybe she'll do something and escape with the championship. I'm not sure how it's going to go down, but we'll have to wait and see. But as a final prediction for here, I'm going to say my head is saying Sasha Banks, my heart says Bianca Belair, and on this time, I'm going with my heart. I say Bianca Belair picks up the victory, but this one literally is a flip of a coin, and that's one reason why I think it's definitely worthy of that main event spot for night 1. Let's go on to night 2 then of the WrestleMania predictions, and let's start off with the match that I think should kick off night 2 would be the Nigerian drum fight, the Intercontinental Championship, Big E versus Apollo Crews. Now, it's the first time ever. Never seen a Nigerian drum fight before, but I feel it's meant to be a street fight, and I do get flashbacks to WrestleMania 24. If you remember the Belfast brawl between Finlay and JBL, definitely one of the most underrated matches in WrestleMania history, in my point of view. I think it's a very good match, and was the opener as well to that WrestleMania. So, yeah, definitely one of my top 5 WrestleMania openers of all time, that match. And I think this one really has got all the tools that could make it work. It has had a good story building in. Big E, of course, winning matches over Apollo, the squeaky clean Apollo, and then saying that you've had your turn, you should go back to catering. Apollo not accepting it, bringing out his Nigerian heritage, the power, the wealth, the unwillingness to accept beam in second place anymore. He wants something, he's going to take it, and there's a new aggression that comes out of Apollo that I really like. Now, of course, the Fastlane match didn't really work very well. It was a bit of a weird finish, but I think that was to set things up here because, I mean, with the attacks that Apollo has given to Big E, particularly with the steel steps, putting Big E in hospital as well previously, it feels like it needed a stipulation like this to happen at WrestleMania. My question is will WWE follow through and give Apollo the Intercontinental Championship? I feel they need to be brutally honest, because if they don't, I do worry where Apollo goes from here. But Big E as well, it feels like the Big E would need the victory here decisively to kind of end this rivalry as well. It's a really flip of a coin match here because this one could truly go either way. And I do kind of feel that Big E is going to win this match because I'm worried that WWE might already be losing faith in the Apollo character. It's just the vibe I'm getting off TV. But I'm going to go again for heart over head here on this one. I'm going Apollo Crews just because of the fact that, well, it's his match. It's his stipulation. Sometimes that works against an athlete, but if you really want to get this character over, it's a must that he wins. So for me, that's the reason I'm going to go and predict it, because I actually want to see Apollo Crews succeed. I think that with this gimmick, he could go on to become a star. Let's then talk about the Women's Tag Team Championship match, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Of course, we don't know the opponents. We mentioned already who I think it will be. The question is, will they retain the championships? And that's really the big storytelling point here. I do wonder if it was Carmella and Billie Kay, if Reginald had been playing these cards all along to try and get Carmella a championship match. It would be a fun twist to see if that was to go down and then actually went back with Carmella. I don't see that happening though, but I do see an implosion between Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. They've had friction all along. It's gone all the way to WrestleMania, where they've not really seen eye to eye. They just know that they can get on and win matches together, which is why they've done so. But I do think they're going to break up after WrestleMania. I do see that we do have a number of tag teams, and Raw's women's division is crying for single stars right now, and Baszler and Jax could go and give a lot more in the singles division right now than they do in the tag team division. So I expect a breakup between those two. I expect dissension and I expect a breakup. And Baszler has been losing so many singles matches of late. Perhaps the pressure of this team isn't quite working. I'm not quite sure what it's going to lead to. But one thing's for sure, I think that the belts do change. Whoever wins Turmoil is winning those tag team championships. Next, let's look at the United States Championship, Riddle against Sheamus. Not much really to say here with the build. I mean, Sheamus did attack Riddle with the scooter, which was quite pleasing to see. These two have had some matches in ring previously, and they've been fantastic, so I expect the work ethic of this match to be very, very good. Sheamus has been putting on some of the best work of his career, and I mean, he's been involved with the top end of the card with Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. I'd love him to get a reward here and win the United States Championship, but I don't see it. Unfortunately, I think Riddle is keeping that championship for the time being. I would like to see a change of the guard. Rumour was that Keith Lee was meant to become United States champion, so with Riddle as the champion, I suppose they could do that with Keith Lee when he comes back, but I think Keith Lee and Sheamus would make a lot more sense. Oh, I really want to change my prediction, but I tell you what, I'm sticking with Riddle, but of course, it's quite clear here, I want Sheamus to win it, but no, final prediction, I'm going for Riddle. Next, let's talk about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Of course, the conspiracy, the documentary. Logan Paul will be at ringside here. Clearly, this is to get more eyes on the product. More casual people will be interested in what Logan Paul is doing. They'll be watching WrestleMania, and hopefully, they'll make a star or two out of this. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, though, these two, to have the journey they've had over their entire careers, whether it's been Ring of Honor, NXT, the main roster up to now, and, you know, these guys have had a journey. They're best friends outside of this. And I'm really pleased for them to have a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. It's just going to be great to see. With Logan Paul there, like I say, someone could really benefit from this. I'm going for Kevin Owens to pick up the victory because I think it makes the most sense. And I would love to see a stunner given to Logan Paul as well. I just think that'd be quite cool to see. Kevin Owens could actually benefit from that. And then, who knows, maybe he could be pushed on to become Mr. Money in the Bank, because Kevin Owens needs something to get to that next level. There's a glass ceiling right now for KO. He can get to a championship match, but he's not seen as someone as the champion these days. It's kind of that upper mid-carder at best. Sami Zayn's been jobbing. It doesn't do anything if he loses another match here. It doesn't harm him at all. But KO, this could really change his career. You felt he had that moment last year against Seth Rollins, but then he had to take time off TV. I don't think that'll be the case this year, so I'm going for a KO victory, and I think it's going to propel him further up the card into the Money in the Bank picture. Next, let's look at the Raw Women's Championship and a match I'm really looking forward to, Asuka against Rhea Ripley. I've got to be honest with you though, I'm not feeling the rivalry. I know this is like plan D for WWE's Raw Women's Championship picture, but Rhea Ripley, the most popular person in NXT, so over as a babyface, coming in as a heel and kind of, you know, almost asking for a match at WrestleMania, and then the confidence to say she can beat her, and then sort of being a bit heely with the table, and then turning on her in the tag match on Raw this week. I just think it could have been booked better, personally. I would have liked to have seen a more big babyface role from Rhea Ripley, maybe face versus face, especially as she was meant to be at the Raymond James Stadium last year. She's not going to let it slip through her fingers 2 times. She's not going to miss out on this WrestleMania opportunity. That would have been a better way to have done it. And then for her to say, not only is it a great opportunity to just be at Raymond James Stadium, I'm making sure I'm winning that match. And then she could have actually turned on Asuka that way and actually been brutalizing as a heel and truly then being the nightmare. But I want Rhea Ripley to win the championship. I think it would be great to see. But I'm going, for the first time saying in this video, WWE's 50-50 booking. Rhea Ripley was the one looking strong on Raw. I think the long-term direction here is for Asuka and Charlotte, so I'm going for Asuka to retain the championship. I just don't feel Rhea has the momentum. She only had a debut match on Raw last night, so she hasn't really got enough behind her to become Raw Women's Champion, in my opinion, at this stage. Maybe this is like almost like the SmackDown side. This feud's just getting going. But for me right now, I see Asuka retaining. I don't see Rhea Ripley winning the championship, where I do feel the championship would be better off if it changed hands. I think it would be fresher for the division, but I think Asuka does retain here. I see Asuka defeating Rhea Ripley. Next, let's talk about Randy Orton versus The Fiend, who will probably have Alexa Bliss by his side. If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know I'm not the biggest fan of the supernatural stuff in this storyline. It hasn't fully connected with me, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it positive here because this match does feel WrestleMania worthy. And I've got to say, since TLC, when they burnt The Fiend alive, kudos to WWE. They kept The Fiend off TV for a longer time than I imagined they ever would, and arguably to the point where The Fiend was needed back earlier in the storyline. So I want to actually say, great job WWE. They actually sold the story that they were telling very well. But The Fiend did return at Fastlane, and of course he came back in this crispy new look, and I must say it's a fun new look. I do quite like seeing it, and I do want to see what is going to lead to The Fiend now going forward. Is it the same Fiend that we've seen before that can feel pain, or will this be an unstoppable monster like we've never seen before? We've seen characters like Kane before refresh themselves and actually come back more dominant than they were previously. I want to see that now with The Fiend. And when it comes to Randy Orton, despite the fact he got the edge earlier on in this rivalry, it's not going to finish that way for him. There's only one winner for me. The Fiend is winning here at WrestleMania. I am surprised there's no gimmick match involved for this. I would have liked to have seen the Firefly Funhouse brought back like they did with John Cena last year. I think it could have been quite fun with Randy Orton. Would have been completely different. Perhaps going through his time with Evolution. Perhaps even Legacy. Could you imagine a Cody reference? Perhaps even all those world titles. And well, some have criticised his work style previously in the ring. Maybe they could have even had a fun inside joke touching on that. I think it would have been quite fun to see. But at the same time, this is the first time in a year since we've been seeing any wrestlers able to perform in front of fans. Why take away that opportunity? And I think that's why WWE has done this. I think either way, The Fiend is going to dominate in this match. I can see perhaps some sort of crazy finish even taking place, because I have a feeling Randy Orton also will be written off TV after this match. There's only one winner when it comes to this for me, and it's The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Last but not least then, let's talk about the triple threat main event, the Universal Championship, the granddaddy of them all. Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, your Royal Rumble winner Edge, and the man who manages to get himself into a triple threat match every single time, it's Daniel Bryan, giving those WrestleMania 30 vibes. Can the miracle happen once again and Daniel Bryan with the Yes Movement win the Universal Championship? We'll have to wait and see. What I will say is, first off, the Roman Reigns and Edge storyline just never materialised. It wasn't what I was expecting and hoping it would be. Roman has done some fantastic work and continues to do great work every single week on SmackDown. He has been an amazing Universal Champion, but the story with him and Edge could have been about the comeback story, the feel-good story. It is 10 years to the day this Sunday that Edge had to retire and relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship, a big key factor of what will come into my prediction here later on. But Edge should have used that as momentum, as the comeback story, perhaps even the drive to bring back the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt. We didn't get any of that. In fact, if anything, Edge has been biding his time and kind of letting Daniel Bryan just get into the mix. Now, of course, at the Elimination Chamber, Daniel Bryan, he won the Chamber match, was kind of screwed out of that championship match with Roman Reigns immediately after. We then see him get screwed at Fastlane thanks to Edge. And after that, Daniel Bryan, he wasn't accepting anything less. He put himself in, he got himself involved, he is in this triple threat match. So the story wasn't exactly how we expected, but how it has been built with the three of them together, I have enjoyed on SmackDown each and every week. I think it's been a fun build. I think it's been the best built match for WrestleMania, which is worthy, seen as it's the main event. I do think now as we go in towards the prediction, I think it's amazing all three of these have this opportunity. Daniel Bryan and Edge both having career-ending injuries when they had to retire. Roman Reigns a couple of years ago having to leave due to leukemia. We didn't know we'd see all these guys again at that point, and the fact is all of them are back, all of them are in ring doing great stuff, and they're in the main event of WrestleMania. How great is this? We should be all so happy about this, and I must admit I am. I'm really pleased all three of these have this opportunity. They're going to give us what I think is going to be the match of WrestleMania. I think it's going to be the match of the weekend. I really, really do. But coming into it, Roman Reigns for me is losing the Universal Championship. He is going to be protected in this match, in my opinion. I can see that Reigns that way then. He didn't lose the championship. He can go back for it afterwards, perhaps at the next pay-per-view. Maybe he has a time where he has to take time away from the championship scene and we can see him sulking every week. That could be quite fun and a different narrative to see a storyline for the head of the table. For me, Edge, I said it's 10 years to the day since he had to relinquish it. It makes sense because both Edge and Daniel Bryan, despite the fact that both are babyfaces, have been showing heel tactics as well. Both of them have. So I do think that this could be still seen as a feel-good moment if Edge holds that championship at the end of WrestleMania. And that will be my prediction. Edge will become your Universal Champion. But that's my predictions. That's all from me. That's SCW's WrestleMania 37 predictions. I can't wait to interact with you in the comments. Let me know who you think is winning at WrestleMania this Sunday. And as well as that, I want to know what you think is going to be the match of the weekend. What is going to be the best match of this lineup? I've given my one there for you. I want to know yours. Please subscribe as well. On the road to 1,000 subscribers, hell, that would be a WrestleMania moment for me. Please, with your support, we can make it happen. I can't do it without you. So please spread the word of SCW. I really am truly grateful for all your support, and we are so close together to getting to the magic 1K. If you are into WrestleMania retro reviews, then go and check out WrestleMania 17 and WrestleMania 9 reviews. Those are on the channel as well. And if you are watching this before NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, the predictions are on the channel for you already as well. I'm going to attempt SCW Live for the first time tomorrow, so that's going to be fun to see on YouTube. It should be a very fun experience. I'll be joined by Jonesy Chats Wrestling, and we're going to be discussing WrestleMania NXT, and there'll be a WrestleMania Live Q&A. You can drop your questions in from this year's WrestleMania or any WrestleMania, and we'll be discussing it for you live there while you're watching. But that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube.